What is different about Automotive Ethernet? How is it evolving, and why does this matter for the automotive industry? My name is Carl Anthony on behalf of Global Automobility and AutoVision News Radio. We are speaking with Colt Correa, Chief Operating Officer of Intrepid Control Systems and co-author of the book Automotive Ethernet, The Definitive Guide, now in its third edition and available on Amazon. He joins us to talk about this topic and why Intrepid Control Systems is investing in Automotive Ethernet training. And Colt, welcome. Good to see you again, friend.
Yeah, good to see you again, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to answer any questions about Automotive Ethernet. It's kind of my passion.
Of course, Colt. And let's start with the big one. Why is Intrepid Control Systems, why are you offering training in Automotive Ethernet?
Yeah, simply, Automotive Ethernet is really becoming ubiquitous in the automotive industry, and Intrepid Control Systems, since its founding, has been a company focused on providing tools and solutions for automotive networking. So naturally, this has become the biggest part of our business.
In these classes, Colt, what kind of aspects of Automotive Ethernet will I learn if I attend?
Well, Automotive Ethernet, as you mentioned, there's a third edition of the book. This is the first edition of the book, so you can see it's not a little pamphlet. So the reality is that to learn everything in one class is not realistic. So we try to cover basics topics at first. What's the difference between Ethernet and Automotive Ethernet? Some of the basics of the low-level physical layers, how do they work? Different speed grades of Ethernet. But we can go into more advanced topics too. Cybersecurity is a big topic that's really getting a lot of attention these days. There's MACsec and a wide variety of different cybersecurity aspects involved in Automotive Ethernet specifically. And also, there's a lot of aspects of Automotive Ethernet that are unique to the automotive space and that you don't find in the regular commercial or industrial Ethernet world.
And Colt, it's my understanding that these classes, they're meant to be flexible.
It's a great question. Essentially, the answer is anywhere where you are, we want to be there offering training in Automotive Ethernet, and we'll come to you. We do that. We travel. We do Ethernet training at our offices throughout the globe. We do Ethernet training online virtually as well, so every form that it can take.
Right. And Colt, and as we're having this discussion, I think the one thing that comes to mind is what is different about Automotive Ethernet compared to regular Ethernet?
So if you asked the question 15 years ago when Automotive Ethernet first came out, really all it was an adaptation of standard Ethernet. So if you look at an RJ45 connector, which I have one here, it's 8-wire Ethernet, this standard gigabit Ethernet, but 8 wires is really expensive. It's heavy, and that's not good for the automotive industry. So really, at the start, it was just adapting this technology, 8 wires, down to 2 wires, and then also changes for electromagnetic compatibility because the automotive industry requirements are much more stringent than consumer level electronics. So those were the main changes at the start, but that was a long time ago. And since then, Automotive Ethernet's even developed into many different speed grades, all the way down from 10 megabit all the way up to 25 gigabit in speeds, many different variants. Most Ethernet like this is just point-to-point communication, and there's new forms of Automotive Ethernet that are called shared medium or bus topology. So we're even seeing new topologies come on board so that wiring can be less complex in the vehicle. So a lot comes down to just the wiring, weight, and cost of the wiring. But more recently, there's also automotive-specific protocols for time-sensitive networking, real-time control, safety-critical control. It's required for automotive applications that you don't find in consumer electronics, for example.
Yeah, this is all fascinating, Colt, because you're talking on one hand about the history of Automotive Ethernet and then the distinction between the two, standard or regular Ethernet and Automotive Ethernet, and then to its evolution. So, Colt, what do we see? How is Automotive Ethernet evolving today in the automotive industry when you have things like electrified vehicles and software-defined vehicles, even autonomous vehicles? What does that evolution of Automotive Ethernet look like?
Yeah, the basic evolution is just speed grade increase for a higher level, bigger sensor data. So especially when you look at autonomous control, the need for lots of sensor data being transferred into a central brain for computation, AI, and things like that. You see the need for higher and higher speed grades up until uncompressed video. And uncompressed video is because any compression or encryption would introduce a delay in the transmission. So we see the need for uncompressed video, audio, radar data, and this type of data just isn't possible to be transmitted on the bandwidth of legacy networks. And as we develop more and more sophisticated sensors, the sensor data tends to be more bandwidth hungry, and we see speed grades increasing. One of the biggest developments, though, is actually a new type of automotive Ethernet. Like I mentioned before, most forms of Ethernet require point-to-point, require a switch. So there's a new type of Ethernet developed for the automotive industry by the automotive industry that's like a bus topology. It doesn't require a switch anymore. It's called 10BASE-T1S, and it has lots of applications in lots of areas in the automotive, and we're seeing lots of applications outside of automotive as well.
Yeah, and that was you almost read my mind there, Colt, because that was my next question. Are there applications for automotive Ethernet outside of the automotive industry?
Yeah, one of the ones that I'm most excited about more recently is in the space industry. So just think about, like I said, regular Ethernet is 8 wires, and if you could choose something with 8 wires, as there's something available that has 2 wires, less weight, less cost, and you carry that through all the connectors and everything else. Talk about space, aerospace. U.S. military just approved some forms of automotive Ethernet for military applications, but I expect it to be ubiquitous in embedded applications for aerospace industry. We've already seen it heavily used in factory automation, but anywhere, especially airplanes, space, even land vehicles where weight plays a part, that's one of the big advantages is automotive Ethernet. You only got 2 wires as opposed to more than that.
Yeah.
So big increase in interest and actual real applications outside the automotive industry.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Colt Correa, Chief Operating Officer of Intrepid Control Systems and co-author of Automotive Ethernet, the definitive guide, now in its 3rd edition and available on Amazon, discussing new automotive Ethernet trainings now being offered by Intrepid Control Systems. These on-demand trainings can happen virtually or on location, either at the Intrepid Control Systems headquarters in Troy, Michigan, or at your facility. On behalf of Global Automobility and AutoVision News Radio, I'm Carl Anthony, and Intrepid Control Systems is your trusted automotive Ethernet training partner.